What's up guys, Wilson here with yet another Porsche 992 GT3 in shark blue, ready for pretty much the works. Now this owner is a longtime customer of ours and a really good friend, and what he's having us do is a full body ClearGuard Alpha PPF installation, custom installed. We're going to be tinting the windows with the best in Spectra Photosync IRD and coating the entire car with Modesta. Now before we get to that, we would have to do a very tedious task, and that is removing pre-existing paint protection film. This car was purchased in Southern California and it had paint protection film pre-installed at the dealership, and the owner of this car really does not like it. So what we're going to do is actually run through some of the details to the pre-existing film before we actually dive into this project. So first off, in previous videos, we always detail where all the seams may be if it was a pre-cut kit, but it's actually good to get a visual of where those seams are and what it actually looks like in person. So first off, let's start out with the hood. Over here on the GT3s, normally if it was a pre-cut template, you see where the relief opening is. They would open the film so there's less tension. Sometimes there are no joining pieces in here to fill in the gap. Sometimes, like this, you see where the film is joined. But either way, you see where that seam is, and it doesn't look very good because over time it's going to collect dirt and just really come out as an eyesore. Now, next to that, along the fenders and front bumper, you see that the film comes shy of the panel edge. And what that does is it leaves exposed paint, and since this is a frontal facing area, a lot of debris and dirt will be hitting those areas that are exposed, right? Next, if you look at this area right next to the headlamps, you see that again the film comes shy of the panel edge and leaves a lot of bare paint to be damaged from road debris. Back here on the fender and hood area, you see this is very typical of pre-cut templates where the film doesn't wrap along these corners and the details are a little bit messy. Now on the door right next to the mirror, you see where the joining seam normally is. Again, pre-cut template normally comes with this seam over here. On the mirrors, the full mirrors are not covered. There's a seam that just kind of comes jaggedly up along here and leaving this inside area exposed. Now since we're here along this rear quarter panel area, the film comes right up to here, leaving quite a substantial amount of paint exposed, and over time it just doesn't look very good. Now let's make our way back to the back side of this car. Two more panels I want to detail with film on here, and number one is the rear ducktail. As we talked about before, the ducktail normally is not done, but when it is done, there's a pre-cut template for it, and you could see where the seam is. It's right about here, comes along and goes all the way through to the other side. And what we do when we do the rear ducktail is a one-piece custom installation, and you can see the difference quite clearly over there. Now let's move to the rear spoiler, the last part I want to detail, and that is how this has a relief opening right around here, and you can see his fingering already. The back side of the wing, you can see the film comes up right about here. It doesn't fold over, leaving a lot of seam exposed. Same thing with this area around the rear wing. You can see that the film comes right up to here, it doesn't wrap in. And what that really does to the overall look of the car is aesthetically, it doesn't look very good. It detracts from the look of the car. Now, not all owners would notice things like that, but for this owner, he's had a lot of work done by us before, so he knows the difference, and that's why we're going to be working our magic on this. So before we do that, we will also be tinting the windows with Spectra Photosync IRD, 30% along the sides and rears. So, and also again, coating the entire car. So we're gonna move this car in now. First, start out with the film removal, check out the details to this entire project, and at the end, I'll show you the difference. All right guys, the GT3 behind me is finally completed. We took off all of the pre-existing film and replaced it with ClearGuard Alpha. But before we get into the details for that, I want to show you the tint that we put on this car, which is Spectra Photosync IRD, the best heat blocking window film in this entire industry. What the owner chose is Spectra Photosync IRD 30%. And this happens to be one of my favorite shades, and I think it works out very well for this car, especially giving it a little bit more contrast while giving it the best heat blocking that any window tint can give. Now, as far as the paint protection film goes, you've seen all of the shots that I showed you in the very beginning of the pre-cut template, the pre-cut kit that was on here before. And that was the main reason why the owner wanted it all removed, because number one, there were tons of seams, and number two, the seams were shy of the leading edges, so that it left a lot of panels that have exposed paint that could get damaged over time. So right now I'm going to go over some of the details for the work that we did on here, and also give you some comparison to that which was on here before. So let's start off on the front end. On the hood area, as you can see, before there were relief openings along these areas. Right now, you don't have that. This is as seamless as it gets. We tuck the film into these areas so that it's not sitting on the outside panel. So this way, we are maximizing coverage and protection while giving it the best aesthetic look possible. Obviously, the more seams you have, the more detracting it could get. Now, on the previous install, as you may recall, between these panels onto these gap areas, the seams were sitting a few millimeters shy of the panel edge. Right now, the film is tucked into there so that, again, maximizing protection while giving it a seamless look. The same thing around the headlights on the fender area. The film is no longer sitting on the outside, it's tucked in again so that you get that seamless look. Now, back to the other areas to the side of the car. All of the corners and edges are now properly wrapped so that it is not sitting on the outside and not having those pre-cut notches that were present before. On the doors right over here, right next to the mirrors, there are no joining seams. This is as seamless as it gets, just like on the mirrors. Before, the film was sitting on this outside area. Front leading edge were exposed. Right now is a one-piece install on this mirror cap from the outside all the way to the inside, so that, again, maximizing protection. Now, one area that I want to show you is the roof. A lot of times, a lot of these cars that have film on their pre-installed that we've been working on lately, on the antenna surround area, the seam is sitting on the outside and it just looks quite unsightly. Right now, as you can see, you don't see any seams on there at all. Now, to the back end of the car, as custom for GT3s, I always like to show you the rear ducktail. This is done as a one-piece installation, and as you recall in the very beginning, this panel over here was done with 3 different pieces all joined together like a puzzle piece. There were seams around here that cuts downwards, and it just didn't look very good. Right now, maximize protection, and as you can see, this is the only way that we do it here. Now, I've mentioned before, not everyone notices these seams, and not everyone are bothered by it, but for this owner and most of our owners, they really care about the aesthetics of the car. While, you know, they want protection, but they don't want that protection to look like it's very obviously on the car, right? With tons of seams. So this is really how we do it for every single one of these Porsches. Now, for the last thing we did, we topped off the entire car with Modesty's BC04 ceramic coating to give it added protection from the environment and also to add a little bit more to the gloss. ClearGuard Alpha is already the best gloss and clarity film in this industry, but with any type of ceramic coating over it, it just really adds to that overall look. So here we have it, guys, with another GT3 completed, and I want to thank you for watching another one of our videos. But until our next one, please stay tuned. Don't forget to give this video a like, and see you soon.